Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6. I cannot believe we're 6 episodes in.
It's
I know.
crazy.
And we are so cozy today.
Oh, yeah. We just want to say that we are not sponsored yet. But when we do get sponsored by clothing, this one from PacSun is really good.
It's really good.
It's one size.
It's one size fits all. It's almost long enough for me, and it's definitely very long for Chloe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're a fan. We love a good sweatsuit now, okay? We wore these. You know, we usually wear pretty comfy stuff when we realize we're going to have to talk through the hard things. Today, we're going to be talking about moms. I said this to Chloe yesterday, but everybody's got a mom. Everybody's got a mom, okay? You could have had somebody come into your life like Chloe, thankfully, like Lee, a stepmom who, you know, walked in and took over, or maybe a grandmother who took over, an aunt, or I don't know, an adopted mom, whatever. But we all have a biological mother.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, it's probably because our moms are supposed to be the one to protect us the most in the maternal way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when there's things and issues that arise in your childhood or at any time in your life with your mom, it does feel like it stings worse for some reason, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, today we're going to talk about our moms.
Mothers.
And our madres and
mothers.
kind of our childhoods with them, and then, you know, we're just going to go from there because this is a very
big... I have
big
a question before we start. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not jacked up at all, 10 being jacked up, how jacked up are you because of your mom?
I'd give it a solid 8.
Yeah, like 10 for me, I'd
give
sure.
it an 8.
And Tammy knows. But yeah, I just want to start with that because, yeah, it's all right. We're messing up too with our kids.
And the thing is, like, you know, and obviously we're going to talk about this on here too, like, my mom, what she walked through in her childhood and how she was raised, and what your mom walked through in her childhood and how she was raised. And our moms never had any tools to be a healthy mom to us. They didn't even have a chance.
Your mom didn't even have one.
She didn't even have a mom to begin with.
Awful.
No, she's adopted.
I love her so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you get into...
So for me, I really do feel like, I was telling Chloe this yesterday, I don't remember much of my childhood with my family up until the age of, everything really started that I can remember with my mom when I was 12.
Because
I was an athlete. I had played soccer since I was 4. And I went to the doctor when I was 12 because I was having all this pain in my hips, like literally just excruciating pain. I went to the doctor. He diagnosed me with bursitis in my hips when I was 12, both
Ouch.
my hips. Yeah, so I've had chronic pain
You
since
were
I was
running,
12.
baby.
Yeah, I was. Well, I played soccer since I was 4, up until 12. And then I actually played soccer for almost 20 years.
Well, and you're tall, and
Yes,
you
I
grow
am.
a lot, I know,
Yes.
during that age. So it was probably just
Yeah,
off.
all of it, yeah. But when we were in this office, I'll never forget, I was sitting on the table, of course, like you're in a doctor's office. The doctor was standing in front of me, and my mom was sitting in a chair kind of diagonal from me to the left. And the doctor looked at me and he said, and mind you, I'm 12. I literally weigh the same thing that I actually did in high school. My body hasn't changed a whole lot my whole life. This is just kind of who I am. And he looked at me and he said, if you lost 10 pounds and looked more like your mom, then you wouldn't be having this pain in your hips. Mind you, my mom was and she still is, a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
She is an absolutely beautiful woman. And so clearly he was flirting with her or trying to get her attention or whatnot. And
but he was embarrassing you, and you
extremely.
wanted her to stand up for you.
I did. Yes, I did. And she just sat there. And so that is when everything started with my mom, because she didn't defend me. She didn't. And I'll never forget just sitting there feeling like almost empty, and my stomach hurt. But that's when everything started with my mom. And it was because of her own issues that she didn't say anything to him, but none of that matters.
Yeah.
She still should have protected me and showed me, number one, no one's allowed to say something like that to you.
Period.
And none of this is okay. And this will never happen again.
Yeah.
And that's what, as parents, we're supposed to do. We are supposed to protect our children from everything that we can.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's when everything really started for me with her. And then of course, I moved to Texas.
Your eating stuff, too, started
Oh,
then,
yeah.
remember? You told me that.
Yep. So, of course, he makes this comment to me. And I've literally, since that day, have had, or not now, thank God, but had body dysmorphia from the age of 12 until probably, I would say, 37. I really struggled with it. I was hospitalized when I was 20, I believe, because I don't know. I don't even know how many days it had been since I didn't eat. And I had a seizure and my blood pressure was super low. So they took me to the hospital. And I was in college, and an Asian doctor, I'll never forget, she looked at me and she said, if you don't start eating, you're going to get a feeding tube or you're just going to die. You're going to die. And actually, after that, I did have some counseling and therapy for eating.
What was going on again when you were 20?
I was in college, and I was in Bible college, and I was dating a guy named Gary.
Okay, that was
who
Gary.
Who was terrible. Yeah,
Okay.
he was terrible, and he
There you go.
Clearly did not make me feel beautiful or any of those things, which is, whatever. So, but it started when I was 12 with my mom, and then we moved to Texas when I was 12, and moved back to Boston about a year after that. When I was in Texas, it was terrible. I was 12 years old. I was the height that I am now, jet black hair, just awkward, long, skinny, just awkward. Looking back at pictures of me now, I look like I could have walked a runway. But I looked, I felt awkward. And my mom did work a lot, but I just remember there being no guidance or anything through that time. Like, everyone made fun of me. They called me cracker. They called me white trash because it was a predominantly Hispanic area. Got beat up on the bus all the time. My brother and sister are a lot darker than me, so nobody ever really messed with them. But they made my life a living hell when I was in Texas.
I literally can't imagine being out of school like that. Like, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, and I mean, I was there for a year. I don't want to say that my mom... I just don't remember her doing anything, if that makes sense.
100% it makes sense.
But clearly I was not okay, but she wasn't trying to figure out why. There were no conversations. There were no conversations. Nothing. And then obviously moved back.
To Boston.
Yes, back to Boston.
But into the hotel, right?
I moved back, when I moved, I was 13, I moved from Texas to Boston. And we didn't have any money, of course, for certain reasons. My dad has always done a lot of different kinds of drugs and things like that. Back in the day, he did a lot things that were illegal. And my mom pretty much gave him an ultimatum. But from my understanding, the reason that we didn't have money for a house was because he had spent the money on that. That's all I remember. We lived there for about 8 months. All of us, me, my brother and sister, animals, parents, in a motel room.
I can't imagine, too, like the pain.
And I was a brand new kid at that school.
Yeah,
just brand new in middle school.
I can't imagine the pain your mom felt as a wife.
Yeah.
Putting you in that situation.
Yeah,
like,
and literally probably doing the best that she could.
Feeling so helpless, probably. And it's so sad to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you moved.
So then I moved to Quincy, the city, and that's...
Quincy.
Boston
is so cool, y'all, by the way. Like, Boston is beautiful. It's historic. It's trendy.
Cleaner, more historic New York.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
I love it there.
It's the best place. There's so much culture.
We need to go there.
So much culture.
I know you are in July.
We
but
need to go there.
Make
yeah,
a trip.
we should. But obviously moved back to Boston or Quincy, right outside of Boston, literally like 15 minutes outside the city. It's like a little mini Boston. And then, of course, at 15, I was raped. And obviously my mother and I never talked about it. And our relationship
describe
was
that.
bad.
Describe that.
So in high school, after I was raped. I think I've talked about this some on another episode.
Yeah, on
but
episode 2.
there was one night where like we would fight like physically. Like there was one night that I went after her and my dad threw me across the room because, you know,
You were angry at her.
I was angry.
You were angry.
I was so angry, and all I wanted her to do was
love you,
to love
you.
me, to hug me, and to like understand why I was the way that I was. You know, there was no like, why is my daughter acting this way? She's this beautiful athlete, creative human. Like, and I've said this so many times, but y'all, when your kids are not okay, like they show you. You will see it.
100%.
You will know.
Yeah.
And I just wish so bad that I could go back and be like, Mom, like I'm screaming for a reason.
You will when you go to EMDR.
And
you
but
will.
yes. I do have to say, me and my mom have had a lot of different seasons of our relationship for sure. And I think that with time and therapy, clearly, and that was so cool. My therapy session, I don't know, 2 weeks ago now, one of the things that we talked about was having tools so I could have healthy conversations with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I love my mom more than anything in the world. And I know that and I've told her this on the phone, like literally told her this to her face, especially even going through this podcast, because we know that we're talking about, you know, people and their integrity and all those kinds of things. But the thing is, like, our moms, like I said at the beginning, they did not have the tools and they did the best that they could with whatever. But we're doing this because we want women and moms to do better for their kids.
And it also doesn't mean that what they did was right.
No.
They cannot have the tools and it was still wrong.
No. They could have
That's important.
gotten, you know, counseling from church, anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Anybody
like,
can
ways.
stop anything, you know? And I do think that it's so important, though, to have those tools when you have such a dysfunctional relationship with a parent.
Yes.
So you can talk to them in a healthy way and not be triggered by them when they've been triggering you your whole childhood life when you didn't have a damn choice but to be in the house. There was no choice. Baby to 18, you're in the house.
Yeah.
So
literally.
I just love that you acknowledge and said the anger part, because I think that's important.
I was so angry.
Like you were acting out.
Yes. I mean, I was fighting at school.
So how did it get as you got in 10th grade, 11th grade with her, or y'all's relationship? How was she whenever you were engaged to Gary? How
she was always
there. So important.
But never having real, honest, open conversations. I would never have told her that, you know, I jumped out of a moving car because Gary was trying to hit me. Like, I would have never told my mom that, you know? Now I would, obviously. I would never be in that situation. But, you know, like now I feel like I'm able to actually have conversations with her. And truthfully, that was after my divorce. You know, when I went through my divorce 6.5 years ago, she stuck to me like glue. Mm-hmm. She didn't leave my side.
She moved on down here.
She literally moved on down here.
I literally walked in church one day because me and Kristen were still not talking. And I walked in church and dropped Cece off at Sunday school, and Pam's there. And I'm like, Justin, Kristen's mom, is here. And she was in Boston. What's going on? And I saw her, and she just you could tell that she wanted me to talk to you so badly because she knew you needed that. And she always did try to emphasize that. But it was crazy to see her at church. I was like, she moved here?
I know. I'm so happy they're here. Yeah, they've been here for a couple years, which has been good. So yeah, I mean, the mom stuff is hard, and I feel like mine is still a work in progress.
Amen.
And I'm just happy and thankful that I can even talk about all of this stuff openly and because nobody does. I mean, nobody really does. So I just feel like.
Is there anything that you wish that she knew, back then? what did you need from her? I know you've talked a lot about different things, but like,
My therapist asked me that. Angel asked me that, what I
did
needed
she?
from her.
Angel's rubbing off on me.
Yeah.
It's how much money I've spent in therapy. Good Lord.
I love it.
But
I
yeah,
love
is
it.
there anything that you
What
wish?
I mean, I wish that she had never stopped asking me, like, or maybe not even like, what's wrong, but like, I wish that I had felt comfortable and safe enough to begin with to go to her.
Mm.
And I wish that she had created that environment and that space so that I could have just, the second any of that stuff happened, I could have just walked in there. And she was my mom.
Yeah. But she didn't sit down physically or mentally.
Long enough. No.
Because I
she
think
didn't.
at the end of the day, I could be wrong, but I think if she's not busy, she's going to have to deal with herself.
Yeah.
And I've walked through that
100%.
personally. And
Yeah.
that's my prayer for her because I love her so much.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Pam.
Yeah.
Like, Pam is literally
She's an angel. She
now
is.
like a second mom to me.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't mean, man, that she didn't mess up. You know,
Yeah.
like we mess up. Everybody, you probably messed up in your divorce with things with your kids.
Big time.
So yeah, like I
Big
mess
time.
up on the daily with my
Yeah.
kids. So I just think we have to recognize it so
Yeah.
we don't continue.
They deserve better.
That's beautiful.
So much better.
That's beautiful. I love it. So there's Pamela. So
That's
now,
Pam. Now let's talk about Tammy.
So-
Pam and Tammy.
Pam and Tammy. So fun fact, my mom is a twin. My mom's name is Tammy, and my mom's twin's name is Pam. Also, my mom has the same birthday as Kristen. So
Yeah.
really crazy and weird.
It's all very
I
strange.
just don't feel like anything's coincidence. It's
No,
just not.
it's not.
So, and literally we called my mom this morning. It's the first time I've talked to her in 4 years. And I just felt like I needed to call her this morning. So she was going
So
to donate
glad you
plasma. So I was like, get it, Mom. Do you, boo? So, so Tammy, you know, she's Tammy. I will say one thing about my mom. She has always loved me, and I've always felt that she's loved me. And I knew even back then that she did not have the capacity to heal. She didn't because of the men she was around.
Yeah.
And so
That environment, that space.
yeah, and I think like with me, you know, me and my notes over here, I had to kind of go through because I've never walked through my relationship with her because it's been so painful and it's
Yeah.
been so hurtful. Like not knowing if your mom's going to be dead or alive for 10, 15 years is hard. And so, you know, basically whenever she left my dad, which I'm glad she did. I wouldn't have a healthy dad. My dad was really angry when he was with her. He was a different
Yeah.
person. He was just
Triggered.
he was scary. And like when my stepmom came in, like I'm telling you, nothing's coincidence. My stepmom Lee was like, not only are you never going to put your hands on me like you did your ex-wife, but you're not going to raise your voice to me. And that's why when I get in arguments with Justin, if his voice gets raised, I get scared because it brings back ages 0 to 9. But it was because he was in a toxic relationship with my mother. And I'm a firm believer in divorce. If it is putting your kids at risk
Oh, yeah.
or your personal self at risk and or mental state and safety, you need to get out. And also, if you don't feel the love and feel that, because that's destructive.
Yeah.
You don't love yourself, then you're not going to feel the love of God.
No.
And if you don't feel the love of God, it's game over.
Yeah.
So when they got divorced, you know, she started dating a lot of different men, working nights. She was a nurse. And so she would work night shift and just kind of leave us at the house. She would tell my dad it would be her night because there wasn't set custody, but we would go kind of back and forth. My dad tried to regulate it. And so she would tell him she was off, but would pick up a shift. And so then we would be there, you know, at 5 p.m. and she's leaving at 6:15. And we're like, Mom, she's like, you're good, you know, and that's a scary thing when you have a 5-year-old sister.
Oh my
That, like Cece
gosh.
Cox, my daughter, she'd be out of the house, girl. Bye. You know what I mean? She would be out stealing a bike in like the garage of the next door neighbor's house. Like
in the pool.
I was 10 and she was leaving me to cook dinner. And we had, I don't know if you know this, like crazy amounts of animals. We had like ducks and pigs.
What?
And all these things just like in the backyard. Bunnies. So I'm literally like the mom. And she also, she would date really dangerous men. Like we were talking about one guy in particular, Rustin, this morning. And you heard the sound of my mom's voice. Mm-hmm. And she's clearly not healed from that. But she was engaged to him and he was super abusive. Like he would slam our heads on the table. We had to write a bunch of sentences. He would put guns up to my mom. So I'm 10, 11 years old. And, Brody's age, just imagine. So my dad would have to come over because at this time, there were cell phones at this time, but I would have to like find my mom's cell phone to be like, hey, or like I didn't know where it was. And I had to call my dad. My dad would come because he would be lied to. He would think we were totally great because my mom would gaslight my dad on the daily. Yeah. It's been really sad. And I think it's because she has a lot of resentment towards him, to be honest, because he beat the living shit out of her. And there's, a lot with that. But like she would just choose men over me time and time again, and my sister. So you got to think too, now I'm defending a 5-year-old little girl, having to protect her, and she's getting fucking traumatized by these men. And now my sister's schizophrenic, and so I don't believe that mental illness just happens. Yeah. I'm not that person. I think it is a trauma response, a stress response, and a barrier that's broken in your neurons that creates
100%
mental health issues. And so my dad would come over, fight these men, grab us out. This was weekly. And my mom knows this, and I would watch her be abused by these men. And I think it's because she saw her dad abuse her mom. My mom never heard I love you from her mom till she was 20. My mom's twin, my mom told me that my mom's twin would get beat and hit by my grandpa, and my mom had to watch it. And so she was around disturbingly abusive men, and then she goes in a relationship with my dad and she's not healed, and then she's getting abused there. And so it just continues happening.
But there were 2 babies in the mix.
There were 2 babies, but now I'm not a baby anymore. Remember, I'm an adult at 10. Adult. There's
forced to be.
No baby. No. Make sure everything's good. The door locked. What does choking sound like? Is my mom like screaming? Hyper alert, hyper OCD, all those things. And so then after that, I just watched her ruin her life. Like she literally started drinking when I was 14. Like I said in the last episode, she was engaged 6 times. And not last engagement, because I think she's engaged right now. We can't figure it out.
No, we're not sure yet.
I don't know if
we'll have to call her again.
She doesn't know herself. No. She even said on the phone today, she was like, I was not engaged to that guy. And I was like, Mom, you had a ring with this guy. And she's like, I didn't like him. I was being nice. And I'm like, Mom, nah, stop. You were happy to be there with them. You were happy to take money.
She doesn't remember.
Yeah,
she literally probably doesn't, the trauma.
She may not, but like that's an engagement ring.
No, really though. I'd remember an engagement ring.
Yeah, I remember it.
If it was a good
11.
one.
Yeah.
I mean.
So she started drinking with her last husband. She's only married twice, my dad and Rob. When she married Rob, it was just really dysfunctional. He was cheating on her, and she really loved him. I'd never seen her love anybody like this in the beginning, like even my dad. And so I was like, she really loves this guy.
How soon did he start cheating on her?
I don't know the details, but I know.
But she stayed with him for a little bit.
They were married about 4 years.
Oh, wow.
About 4 years.
And you lived 16, with him?
17.
You guys lived with him?
Yeah, but I lived with my dad mostly.
Okay.
So anywhere she was at, for me, was like temporary space.
Yeah.
And I was not trying to be at her house ever, girl, ever. So I was like cheerleader, SGA, just doing as many activities so I could stay in Hope Mills because my mom lived in Fayetteville, like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so, she ended up losing her nursing license after she found out that Rob was cheating on her. She moved out, and after she moved out, she went back to being a nurse because she had stopped working for a little while with him because he made a lot of money. He was a colonel in the military in Fort Bragg. And so she started like just doing things. I don't know specifics and I don't want to call it out, but I think she was doing some stuff with medications. She was doing bad stuff in the hospital. She was also...
She was really unwell at that time.
Coming in late, things were happening. And so they ended up firing her, though, because of a Pyxis situation. I don't know what med it was, but she ended up getting fired. And then from there, it was just destructive, like...
Can you imagine,
drinking.
too? Because I mean, you're a nurse, too, and you were a nurse for a long time. Can you imagine the feeling of, like, losing your license like that because of something that you did?
Yeah. And, like, not having anybody to pay for anything for her. Yeah. She was on her own. And so... just living in crazy environments. We were moving into like shitty places. I was cleaning the house, cooking, doing a lot of stuff. She just wasn't present. She was drunk all the time. And then, it just didn't stop. Like the drinking, my whole high school career, like I literally stayed at my friend Dannon's house. I got ready for school over there, and I stayed over there all the time because I did not ever want to like go home to my mom's house. And so, I mean, she was drunk at my graduation. She was drunk at obviously my wedding. Let's be serious. She was drunk at like every major moment in my life, and so I never truly got to enjoy graduation or like my baby shower, anything really, because I knew I had to like keep an eye out for her to see when am I going to see the look in her eyes. If you're watching this and you have an alcoholic parent, you know what I'm talking about. Like their eyes change and then they get this specific like smell of their breath. It's almost like acidosis. You know what I'm talking about? Like when somebody's, it's like that fruity smell.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so I would be able to tell quickly she was drunk at my graduation party, my engagement party. I mean, you name it, I was getting humiliated. And so it really made me resent her a lot.
Yeah.
And then she started getting arrested. So then she started getting DUIs, identity fraud, stealing stuff from people. And so I was 16, 17, 18 years old, bailing her out of jail with Justin, picking her up like off the side of the road, covered in blood, a lot of stuff that people should never have to go through.
No.
And I'm like, 17, 15, 16, like just coming off to having those abortions and having so much shame already to have to like fucking deal with her. I literally remember being like, I just wish you would disappear at one point because I was like, you were ruining my life. And it was just really tough. I don't like wish that upon anybody, like having to be a parent and not being allowed to have fun. That's why it's hard for me to have fun. It's hard for me. I'm better at it now, but like, I feel like I just have to like work and clean and work and clean and work and clean. And so... she also never apologized. Like she never, ever apologized. And that's been something to this day that I need from her because she gaslit me so much, like my entire life. Like even in my notes she told me I was dramatic. Just stop, Chloe. Like just stop. I'm already stressed enough. Just stop. I'm already this. And it's like, you're fucking putting yourself in these positions and you're staying with these men and you're allowing this.
Yeah.
Like, so she really made me believe that, I didn't even know what a real friendship or relationship was. Luckily, I had really good friends, but it's like I didn't have relationship issues until I got into my direct sales business because there were more women.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, they're all great. They're all this. Yeah, right. So then, another thing was boundaries. So there was not apologizing and her not respecting my boundaries. There was a time with Brody where this was like the breaking point. Brody was 3 and I was doing a holiday event for my business. And because you had came.
I was there.
You left. We had a couple people still there. And my mom ended up joining the business under me and she showed up. Husbands were at this event. All the things. She steals a bottle of Crown Royal and mixes them with some of her Klonopin and pills and just is all over the guy, super embarrassing, like all the things. So I put her to bed. I thought she was in bed. No, she, it's like comical at this point because she knows.
I mean, tell them what she was wearing.
So, number one, she has on a onesie, a zip-up onesie. I just want to preface it with my mom has like fake boobs.
She's beautiful.
Really cute little body. She just needs to take better care of herself.
Yeah.
But she had a onesie on, like a zip-up, and we get a knock on the door, and it's my neighbor who literally was a, what was he? Not a sheriff. Wait, he was a sheriff. But he also was like head of like dog security. His name is Malcolm. If he's watching this, he never will, but he knows who my mom is. He has her and he's like, hey, I thought she was a stripper, but she's not. She said she's your mom and she said, you're trying to kill your son. And so he was like, I got to send the cops and I got to make sure everything's okay. So we show him Brody. Brody was actually in my bed that night. Justin knows how my mom is. So when we would do stuff like this, he made sure above all cost, Brody's safe, I'm safe, because he knew she wasn't safe.
Yeah.
So Brody was out of his room, thank God, because my mom had busted the screen through his room, snuck out, went through his room and busted the screen. She was trying to take him.
Oh my gosh.
And so then another cop comes over who we went to high school with, super embarrassing, who also went to our church, and he had to make sure she was breathing. So anyways, he checks on her and she's breathing. She wakes up the next day, no recollection, no accountability. And I literally looked at her and I said, you did this shit to me my whole life. You will not do it to my son. I'm not going to speak to you anymore. Ever since then, our relationship has been even more dysfunctional because as I've gotten healthier and set boundaries, she just thought that I was just going to get over it and like give her money in jail and do all the things. And it's like, no. So yeah, I mean, I did get to a point where I was really mad at God, like we talked about earlier, and it's taken a lot. But I feel like now through therapy and through healing and through learning, like this stuff wasn't your fault. Yeah. Which I think is important for us as women to lean into. Yeah. We're told so many times it is our fault. And the meanest ones of all are women our age. They're assholes. Like they really telling us what we need to do when they're the ones talking behind our back. Don't tell me what to do if you're talking about me. No. My own mother wouldn't even do that. We have a big issue with women in today's culture. But aside from that, I learned through therapy how to have compassion for her. And I love that about me now. Yeah. Like I feel deeply about what she went through. And I also know I will never put my kids through anything like what she put me through, like ever. Like I will never, ever, ever let them feel not safe, not loved. And I'm also not your friend. I'm your parent. Yeah. I tell my kids that. I'm your parent first. Love you, but if you need to hate me today because your game got taken away and we're talking about honor and respect, I love you, but you're not going to treat me that way. And you're not going to talk to me that way. No. And so it's just different, now for us.
Yeah, because you were in such a chaotic place for so long.
I'm honestly surprised I don't have like split personality or because like my mom is OCD, my aunt's bipolar, my sister's schizophrenic. Like I'm so shocked that it's got to be God.
It
because
is God.
There's I should be like Britney Spears right now.
Yeah, shaved head.
Legit, I should be,
100%
in a loony bin.
Yes.
So, and like you've talked about too what it feels like when you're alone and you don't feel like you could go to your mom. The weird thing is, even though she was so dysfunctional, I could go to her. And so I hate that you really didn't have that because my mom still to this day, like she answered the phone this morning immediately and I haven't called her in 4 years. Yeah. What do you need? Where does the body need to go? Yeah. Like, are you okay, baby? Yeah. I love you. Like, she's dysfunctional, but she loves me. Yeah. And that's one thing I'll say about my mom is she loves me like so deeply, like she would die for me like right now, or she would.
I really think that she would.
She would, and so she has been a little accountable, which I love. And I hope as your mom heals that she can come to you. Yeah. Yeah.
We're all a work in progress. And I think that's the moral of all of this, like. We're talking about our moms right now, but all of us are such a work in progress. I think it's just so important every day to try to learn and to do better.
Yeah, to do better and
to do better.
take into account that, like, mothers, like you said earlier at some point, they wear so many hats.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have a mother who has been abandoned or watched abuse or grew up in foster care,
Yeah.
or like adopted parents like your mom, my dad was foster care. When you have parents that go through, I even told you Justin's dad, Richard,
Yeah.
like his mom was a bus driver and her bus caught on fire.
She died in the bus.
And his
terrible.
dad was in jail. He lost his parents at a young age. Like, our parents, number one, we can have compassion for them and understand. I probably wouldn't have made it through that. I'm gonna be real honest.
Yeah.
If I had to watch my little sister get beat, I would have stabbed my own dad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the stuff your mom's been through. Your mom has been through horrific things.
Yeah.
It allows you to have compassion for them,
Yeah.
which is what we hope our viewers find, but also to know it was not your fault. If you were under the age of 18 and you were living in an abusive situation or did of some sort of way, whether it's dismissive abuse or physical abuse, like, that was not your fault.
No.
Because you were a minor.
Yes.
You were a child.
Yes.
But now what we can do is we can get therapy, set the boundaries, let Jesus come in and tell them it wasn't okay. And they're either going to get pissed like my mom did when I told her, you're not going to see my kid no more because you literally tried to steal him out the window. No, I didn't. Okay, bye. They can get pissed and not be accountable. It's up to them.
Yeah.
Or they can take our boundaries and our conversations and they can actually look in the mirror for once and go, okay, is it worth losing your daughter for you to behave this way? And it's up to them. But the most freeing thing I did was realize we're not doing this until you change your behaviors. And I was very stern on that. So.
And now look where you are. You called her today.
I did.
Yeah, and she sounded great on the phone.
I was trying to get a picture.
There is healing.
Yeah, I was trying to get a picture
light at
of
the
one
end
of
of the
her
tunnel.
one of her fiancés, and she was like, "I don't care," and I'm like, "Mom, like, he killed himself. You got to care about him." So,
all of our moms are a work in progress. It sounds like just like us.
Even us as moms, and that's why.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm
having such a close friendship with somebody, which is why I really value your friendship, is you've helped me understand even Cece so much more and bring out her fun creativity, her fashion, her, I love that because I never felt like I could be a good mom because I never had one.
You're the best mom.
And so it's really helpful
are.
when you have a friend who's like, okay, cool. Like, her boys don't have brand new shoes. Cool. It's fine. Like, there's not a checklist to get these folders for school and do this and do that.
Love and safety. Love and safety.
Love, safety, and consistency.
Yeah, consistency.
Love,
for
safety,
sure.
and consistency is what children need to see.
Yeah.
So we love you guys, and we hope that this episode encourages you to have a conversation with your mom. Like, pick up the phone and call her. That wasn't even scripted because I wasn't supposed to call my mom this morning, but I'm so glad I did. And have, like I said, conversations because your moms aren't going to be there forever.
No, and they might not be there tomorrow.
Like, my mom's mom died a few months ago, and it's been really hard watching my mom walk through that. So love your moms, have boundaries, but understand that it's a work in progress. Moms are a work in progress. We're a work in progress. But what is our problem is when we keep allowing it, and our truth of what we went through as children matters despite the fact that they can't relive their pain. That's not our problem if they can't go back there yet. Yeah. But it's in our healing journey as women with destructive mothers in some way, shape, or form. We have to get it out.
Yeah. I always say communicate till it's out of your hands. Because if you communicate everything that's inside of you until it's out of your hands, what they do with it is on them. Like, it has nothing to do with you, but then your body can rest.
Yep.
Just let be what it is. So, but yeah, that's it.
That's a wrap. That's episode 6. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.